Let's kick things off with a story that sounds like it was made up, but isn't. Factory Records, the legendary Manchester label behind Joy Division and New Order, decided the best way to rescue the Happy Mondays from their slump was to fly them to Barbados. Sun, sea, creative freedom. What could go wrong? Everything. Once there, the band's drug habit escalated so spectacularly that they ended up pawning the studio's actual furniture and recording equipment to fund their next score. Keyboards, chairs, gone.
You move around and groove like somebody. You run with it, your style of habits. It's mine, you might as well sack it.
During their 63 days on the island, keyboardist Paul Davis somehow managed to write off 3 separate hire cars. 3. The album they were supposed to be recording, Yes Please, turned out mediocre. And the financial fallout was so catastrophic it effectively killed Factory Records. The label went bankrupt shortly after. Millions lost. Music history forever altered. All because nobody thought to maybe not send a notoriously drug-addled band to paradise unsupervised. Here's one that stings a little extra because the timing is absolutely brutal. Mick Fleetwood, co-founder of one of the best-selling bands in music history, filed for bankruptcy in 1984. That's 8 years after Rumors. You know, the album that sold over 40 million copies. How do you manage that? Well, Mick himself has been pretty honest about it. He admitted spending $8 million on cocaine over the years. Not a typo. $8 million. He also made a series of deeply impulsive real estate purchases, including a $400,000 property in Hawaii and a $1.8 million farm in Australia. And here's the kicker. Mick never owned any of the song publishing rights whatsoever. Every single royalty from Go Your Own Way or The Chain, not his. He co-founded the band, drummed on every record, and still somehow managed to blow absolutely everything he earned. It's one of the most impressive financial implosions in rock history. Respect, honestly.
Anything but love. I never let you, and that's a fact.
Most artists suspect their label is cheating them. Meatloaf actually proved it. His 1977 debut, Bat Out of Hell, is one of the best-selling albums in pop history. We're talking tens of millions of copies worldwide, but for the better part of 2 decades, the man was seeing almost none of the money. His record company was quietly lowballing his sales figures, and for a long time, he couldn't prove a thing. Then, in the early 90s, accounting technology improved enough that the numbers started telling a very different story.
Through the night with you. Gotta be damned, you know I wanna be damned. Gotta be damned, you know I wanna be damned.
By 1996, Meatloaf estimated his label owed him $14 million. $14 million for one of the biggest albums ever recorded. He'd spent years watching that record play in every diner, every car, every movie montage imaginable, while the people who pressed the vinyl quietly kept the profits. The lawsuit eventually settled. The full amount was never recovered, and the label naturally survived just fine.
Oh, I can do
will you hold me sacred? Will you hold me tight?
Would not leave you. Times of trouble. We never could have come this far.
Billy Joel is one of the greatest songwriters of his generation. He's also a man who once discovered his manager had secretly mortgaged his copyrights for $15 million without bothering to tell him. Let that settle for a moment. Frank Weber, Joel's former manager, and by the way, his former brother-in-law, was sued in 1989 for $30 million in compensatory damages, plus $60 million in punitive damages on top.
Smoke, but there's some place that he'd rather be.
allegations were extraordinary. Weber had allegedly handed out $2.5 million in unauthorized loans using Joel's money. He'd double billed Joel for music videos. And then there was the small matter of those mortgaged copyrights. Joel's actual creative legacy, leveraged without his knowledge or consent. The lawsuit was eventually settled out of court. Joel has since said it set him back years financially and personally. The lesson, as always, maybe don't hire family, or at minimum read your own contracts before you sign anything.
No, no. Never want to work that hard.
You'd think by 1965, the Rolling Stones would have had enough cautionary tales available to avoid the most notorious shark in the music business. They had not. Alan Klein was already famous for aggressive deals and extracting money from artists when the Stones signed with him, and what followed was a masterclass in how to lose everything that actually matters. Klein negotiated their record deal and walked away with the rights to their entire pre-1971 catalog. Every song they'd recorded up to that point: Satisfaction, Sympathy for the Devil, Paint It Black, Gone. The Stones spent decades and millions in legal fees trying to claw it back. Every time one of those songs appeared in a film, an advertisement, or a streaming playlist, the money went largely elsewhere. The catalog is worth hundreds of millions today. The Stones, for their most iconic early work, see a fraction of what they're owed. Klein died in 2009. The lawyers are still eating.
It's alright. Until nothing, there's a Siamese. Got other girl. It's only fair that I should let you know.
This one isn't funny at all, and it's important to say that clearly up front. Badfinger were one of the most genuinely talented bands of the early 70s. Paul McCartney produced their debut. They wrote Without You. They had everything going for them. And then they signed a management contract with a man named Stan Polley. Polley structured the deal so that all advances and earnings were paid directly into his own bank account. Not the band's account, his account.
I remember finding out about you. Every day my mind is all around you.
This gave him complete and total control of their finances, and Badfinger saw almost nothing of the money they were generating from records and live performances. The legal battles that followed were ruinous and seemingly endless. The money was never recovered, and the human cost was catastrophic. Two members, Pete Ham and Tom Evans, died by suicide. Both deaths directly connected to the financial and emotional destruction Polley had caused. It remains one of the darkest chapters in rock history. In 1994, Guns N' Roses were the most dangerous band on the planet. By the time Chinese Democracy actually came out in 2008, Slash had quit, Duff McKagan had quit, Matt Sorum had quit, and Axl Rose was essentially recording a solo album under a band name he'd legally retained. The album took 14 years and cost approximately $13 million to make. $13 million. For context, Appetite for Destruction, one of the greatest rock albums ever recorded, cost somewhere around $100,000. Chinese Democracy sold around 2.6 million copies, which for any normal act would be a triumph. For a Guns N' Roses release after a 14-year wait and $13 million spent, it was quietly considered a catastrophe. Dr. Pepper ran a promotion offering everyone in America a free can if the album came out in 2008. It came out in 2008. They had to honor it. Even the soda company lost money on this one.
future's mine.
Colonel Tom Parker is the gold standard of music management disasters. A man who extracted so much money from a single artist that he arguably altered the entire course of that artist's life. Parker took 50% of Elvis Presley's earnings. The industry standard is 15 to 20. He also had a compulsive gambling problem, allegedly owing $30 million to the Hilton hotels at the time of Elvis's death in 1977, which may partly explain why Elvis never toured internationally.
I can't walk out because I love you too much.
Parker was almost certainly an illegal immigrant from the Netherlands and couldn't risk crossing any border. So Elvis never played Europe, never played the UK, never played Australia. Entire continents never saw him live because his manager's personal legal situation made it impossible. Elvis died at 42 with an estate worth a fraction of what it should have been. Parker walked away having taken half of absolutely everything for 20 years. Remarkable in the worst possible way. In 2000, Metallica sued Napster. They won. And in winning, they may have accidentally helped accelerate the destruction of the music industry they were trying to protect. Here are the numbers. When the lawsuit was filed, the global music industry generated over $26.6 billion annually. Within 15 years, that figure had fallen below $15 billion, the lowest point in decades. By 2014, the industry had lost 40% of its total revenue. Now, Napster was always going to be shut down eventually. But the way the lawsuit played out, with Lars Ulrich publicly delivering printed lists of usernames to be banned, turned Metallica into the face of an industry at war with its own audience. It handed the entire narrative to the other side. The battle was won. The war was lost spectacularly. And the streaming era that followed pays artists fractions of pennies per stream. Metallica survived. Most others didn't. And finally, the one that defined the actual word, mistake. January 1962, Decca Records held an audition with a young band from Liverpool called the Beatles. The A&R man listened carefully and passed. Guitar groups are on their way out, he reportedly told their manager, Brian Epstein. He then signed Brian Poole and the Tremolos instead because they lived closer to London and were simply easier to deal with.
She only played one night stand now. She was a dead.
The Beatles went on to become the best-selling musical act in recorded human history. The financial cost to Decca of that one afternoon is genuinely incalculable. Decades of recording revenue, publishing royalties, licensing fees, and catalog value that went entirely to EMI instead. Dick Rowe, the man who made the call, spent the rest of his professional career living with it. He was known for the remainder of his life in the music business as the man who turned down the Beatles. Some mistakes simply cannot be walked back. And there you have it. 10 moments where rock history took a very expensive wrong turn. Bad deals, bad managers, bad decisions, and in at least one case, a very bad trip to Barbados. The music survived. The bank accounts, not always. So tell me, did I miss a financial disaster that deserves to be on this list? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if rock history runs through your veins like it does through mine, hit subscribe, and let's keep this going.
I remain